Hello and Happy New Year! I'm Stephanie von Bismarck, and this is How Do We Manage, your guide to navigating a rapidly changing world. Today we're tackling a subject that many of you may be thinking about this month. How do we manage our relationship with alcohol beyond dry January?
How much time am I willing to compromise? Because we're compromising our life, our health. We're handing it over to a substance, and we're saying tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna feel better tomorrow. I'm gonna work on myself. And how much time are we going to spend giving away our power?
According to the charity Alcohol Change, last year, 1 in 10 people resolved to improve their relationship with alcohol in 2025. And challenges like Dry January are helping people to kickstart that. But what happens when the 1st of February comes around? Do we fall straight back into old habits? Or can we arm ourselves with the skills needed to truly change what we drink? Our guest today is Jen Fairbairns, who runs 1 Year No Beer, a company that helps sober-curious people on their journey to change their relationship with drinking. She's going to give us tips for turning 1 month of abstinence into a complete habit overhaul. Jen, welcome to the show. Welcome to How Do We Manage, and Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. Happy New Year to you. Did you have a good start of the new year?
Absolutely. I mean, so far so good. I'd say you never know what's coming next.
Straight out of the box.
I mean, because we're talking about this very important topic today on giving up alcohol for some time at least. Are you someone who's on to New Year's resolutions anyhow? Or?
Oh, no, I'm controversial there. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I'm more of an intention setter, setting an intention for the year, just planning a little bit how I mean to show up, what I want, what I'm looking to achieve, but then breaking it down into bite-sized pieces mean that I become intentional every day, every week, every month. And I feel that embraces the humanity of us because we're not always going to have a great day. And I think there's so much pressure that comes with the New Year's resolution. Don't get me wrong, they're great because it's essentially goal setting. But I feel people tend to create this list of stuff that they intend to achieve that they maybe haven't, or that kind of came from like the last year's list that they're like, right, this is the time. And the moment they kind of sidestep, they might feel like they're failing and they'll just give it up. And the statistics show that within the first week, about 23% of people stop their New Year's resolutions.
I mean, I'm happy that you say that because sometimes I'm asked, what is your New Year's resolution? And I don't have any because I am like you, but it's very rare actually that you hear that. I never do it because I said, why can I not do that in July? If I'm really intentional about something, I really want to change something, I should change it whenever I want to change. For me, this coming up on the 1st of January, it has not worked. But still, there are so many who do that. And why do you think New Year's is such a popular thing to just, is this just that new beginning or something?
Well, there is that saying, New Year, New You. But it's not true. It's like New Year, same you, maybe a different approach. But yeah, it's like we're not going to just swap like 1st of January, like, right. But it probably goes back to the same reason, like when people want to change something, they want to start on Monday. I'm going to go to the gym on Monday. I'm going to start doing this. Monday is like that starting point. Why not start on like a Tuesday or Wednesday? It doesn't matter as long as you do start, right? So I think, just asking ourselves, where does the New Year's resolution come from it's a celebratory thing at the end of the year. Like, right, next year is going to be like this. And then we have an intention of how the year is going to go. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. But I think setting yourself up for failure with a whole list of stuff that you maybe deep down know that you're not going to do is only going to make you feel bad. So this is why there is a rough number of only 9% of people who set their New Year's resolution complete them throughout the year. The rest don't.
Would that also apply to the very popular Dry January?
Oh, yeah. The Dry January is, it's a wonderful thing. It's people, first of all, they're just deciding to focus on their health, not drinking for a little bit. They've probably gone through the Christmas period just going a little bit too hard. And then they think, I'm going to look after myself now for a month. And they also raise money for charity, so it's wonderful, right? But at the end of the day, if they lock themselves into their house and just to kind of work, like ticking down the day. So like, striking it off, like hiding, avoiding phone calls and stuff. Then, there's not so much the change rather than just being abstinent. So I think many people can make it through January, but question is what happens on February 1st. The success rate for dry January, I mean, it's probably pretty good. Because people can do a month, right? But when it comes to what does it change longer term? For us, dry January was probably one of the reasons why OIMB was created, because they were really the front runners of taking, a break from alcohol. So, it's always been a wonderful thing. But this is how with OIMB, we were the first company to create ongoing alcohol-free challenges. We wanted to give people a reason to kind of have a break throughout the year, because it was acceptable when people say, "Why are you not drinking?" "Oh, I'm doing dry January." Okay, cool. They would be left to
you
it.
don't get pestered on that in that 1 month.
In that 1 month, it's acceptable. Otherwise, the only way it's acceptable for you not to drink is if you're pregnant, if you're training for a marathon or something like an endurance sport, or if you're not well. It's acceptable to not drink. Other than that, it's like, why are you not drinking? So dry January was really the time that it's okay, it's accepted. So the OIB was created with the different alcohol-free challenges because we wanted to give people a reason throughout the year so that they can say, "Why are you not drinking?" "Oh, I'm doing the challenge. I'm doing an OIB challenge." And we always encourage to kind of go a little bit deeper and understand why we drink, rather than just being abstinent, because you can, and it's a great way to start. But it's what we want people to do is just understand their drivers and their triggers a little bit more so that they can kind of do this on their own as well throughout the year at any given time,
I mean, we're going to talk about all of that right in a second. But first of all, and because I think it's important to just mention a few sort of statistics, what actually alcohol does to us. Because after all, it's a legal drug. So it's not illegal. It's socially accepted. It's everywhere and every day.
Yeah.
And yet science tells us these days that basically there's all these new findings that you're hearing everywhere. In regards to cancer anyway, there only zero alcohol is beneficial to your health. So tell us a little bit about what alcohol actually does to us emotionally, physically.
Yeah,
mentally.
I mean, the thing with alcohol is that it's been celebrated and it's been encouraged, and although the world is catching up a lot on this right now with advertising, they're not allowed to, show advertisement a lot for it. So, protecting the younger generations, etc. So there are steps in the right direction. However, for us who have walked this earth for a longer period of time, we have grown up in an environment where it's celebrated and it's kind of encouraged. Like, you're sad, well, you should have a drink. If you're happy, let's celebrate. There are so many different reasons that we kind of either celebrate or soothe with alcohol, right?
Yes.
But things are catching up. Because when we're looking at, a lot of people, they drink because they're stressed or they're anxious. And so it creates this vicious circle, because what's actually driving anxiety is alcohol. It's a depressant and it's a sedative, right? So people think that, oh, well, I sleep better because I have a drink, or I drink to have a good night's sleep. But what it actually does, it knocks you out because it's a sedative. But what it also does, it really stresses the body. Your cortisol level completely spikes, and you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with this pumping heart,
we call it anxiety in our family. And we feel really bad and anxious next day.
Yes, and anxious. And then what they'll do is that they'll drink again, because it takes momentarily, because it's a nervous system depressant, right? So it suppresses the nervous system, even momentarily, right? And it feels good. But other ways that alcohol, has been utilized as a tool is, we see a lot of people coming through our programs who are neurodivergent, busy mind, busy brains, right? My husband being one of them. He's a strong advocate talking about alcohol and ADHD because he's ADHD himself. So, but when it comes to the chatter, the noise that people with ADHD have, it's very hard for them to shut down the brain at the end of the day. So the only way they know how is that drink, because it just kind of, even momentarily. So it's like a quick fix. So when we look at the benefits it has, alcohol has zero benefits at all. It's simply just a toxic It's a toxic liquid that we ingest, and there's nothing in our body that has the capacity to protect against it. We have all these beautiful defense system in our body which can protect against disease and various strains of viruses, etc. Nothing can protect our body against alcohol. There's nothing in there that protects it. So we are kind of left with all these symptoms afterwards, like anxiety being one of them. It can spur depression. It fuels what's already there. A lot of us carry a lot in our nervous system with dysregulation, our past, our history, whatever we've gone through in our life, and this just fuels it. And the thing is, once we've done it something enough times in our life or in our week even, it becomes a new habit, And the drinking is simply a very well-rehearsed habit for most people. Some people have more severe degree of drinking, but most people just have this really bad habit of just getting into drinking because it's simply what they do. It's what their family done. They grow up seeing their family do, how they celebrated, how they were sad, how they were happy, and how they reacted to the world around them with alcohol, right?
We coach a lot of people, and I think it's important to say that we're not talking about, this is not an episode about alcohol addiction. This is about the habit of drinking.
Absolutely.
So when people seek you out and want to cut down or step down from drinking, what are the main reasons actually for them?
Such a good question. I mean, mainly because it is having an impact on their stress. They're feeling like they don't feel good about themselves. There's a restlessness. They feel very anxious, right? Almost like they're not able to cope with themselves. They don't have a lot of capacity in themselves, and so they cope with drinking, and they're aware of it, right? And so most people come in with that, but then people are seeing it affecting their relationships. Their relationship with their kids. They feel like they're not able to show up as the parent they want to be, and being a parent, and you also being a parent, it's not easy, and a lot of people use alcohol to cope. And they don't necessarily want to go down a teetotal or, a heavy route. And what we offer is something different, right? It's self-empowerment. Like, hey, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? So most people come in because they're just a little bit fed up with feeling lethargic. And also, over the past couple of years, there's been this rising movement in health, wanting to feel better. All this biohacking and people wanting to be healthier. They're like, well, alcohol makes like the first thing get rid of, right?
Years old.
Exactly. Do we really want that?
Nah, I'm not so sure. I constantly have these arguments, and I was like, I don't know if I want to live healthy, but not necessarily until I'm like 120 or 30 or something. Yeah,
no. But so people are coming in more and more for their health, and health for their family. A lot of people come in because they want to be a better example for their kids. They don't want their kids to repeat their patterns. And then also, if we have a longer standing habit of drinking, then, we will have, an increased stress level. At increased stress level, we will have, worse habits. We might be a bit grumpier. We might be a bit more lethargic. We might not have this energy to hang out with the kids and be fully present for them. And I think the presence is a big thing. People coming into our programs. People come into our programs saying, I just want to be present with my kids. And I know I'm not right now. And I want them to have a good example, someone to look up to. And
how fast can you see the changes? Like, how fast can you, if you say, okay, I'm going to stop now for whatever long time, how fast does that change in your overall well-being?
Extremely fast.
Oh, okay.
Extremely fast. I mean, the thing is, it is also going to depend on each individual, depending what, how regularly they were drinking, how much and stuff. We always look at people doing this in a healthy way, kind of gradually breaking down. Some people go cold turkey. It doesn't really matter. But as long as if you're doing a cold turkey, making sure that you're speaking to your health provider, that your doctor is on board with what's going on. Because if you've gone from being a really heavy drinker to ripping it out, it can be dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. So kind of easing into it could be the best option in that case. But for anyone who's coming in who has just, an unhealthy habit where they kind of drink too many times a week, maybe too many drinks in one night, then if they just stop, they can start seeing results within, days, you might start sleeping better. Again, this is not a general that this is what happens, because a lot of people say, I want to stop drinking because I want to lose weight and all that, and then they expect the weight to kind of fall off. It doesn't really work that way. It's a gradual thing and it depends on each individual. You will start seeing the positive results within days.
Yeah.
But within weeks, it is a game changer. And so it depends also how you do it. So those who go in and they go all in and they don't drink and they really focus on their habits and not replacing it necessarily with something else. Because the key here is that we don't cut the alcohol and then start eating lots more chocolate instead, or sugar, which is kind of because there's so much sugar in alcohol, right? Inevitably, it messes with your blood sugar so much that you're going to crave. So it's about figuring out the balance with that, and this is how we work with the people who come into our programs.
So this is a slight withdrawal.
Yes, of course.
As from sugar, if you
100%.
stop sugar, it's really a withdrawal
Absolutely.
process.
Or coffee. Have you tried quitting coffee?
Oh my God! I don't drink coffee since 2 years.
Yeah,
and it was hard.
Yeah, and I've tried it. I'm like, I know I probably would like to try it again, but I know it's going to be painful. I'm like, I need to find a couple of days where I'm going to suffer because it is tough, and that says something, right? Because your body becomes dependent on something. But when we look at going through the processes, it's giving ourselves what we need. We always say you need to drink a lot of liquid. But if you go in and not drink and you focus on not screen time at night, right, replacing it with screen time, which is a lesser evil, right? Because this is the thing. It's a compulsive behavior is something that you do to distract yourself. We have so many options these days. If it's not alcohol, then it's this death scrolling on technology, right? There is vaping, right? There is shopping online, click one thing, you buy. There are so many ways for people to kind of get that dopamine hit, which is what they're after in many ways. Yeah. And so what's going to happen when we remove the alcohol is you are going to start seeing the positive effects, but you also have to be prepared that it's all not sunshine and roses. You might have to be prepared for mood swings, that your sleep doesn't get better. Maybe it gets disrupted in the beginning, but you start feeling the positives with anxiety going away very quickly. And I think this is for so many, they just feel freer. And I think the word freedom comes up so much with us and our clients, is that they just feel free. This, as if something has been holding them back or holding them down, and that quickly goes away. So, yeah, it's pretty rapid once you do it, which is why we want people to extend it past this month.
But we're talking about the habit, and then we're talking about alcohol, which is such a norm to be drinking, and actually you're even pressurized when you don't drink or ask weird questions. Anyway, I'm going to tell you in a second because I did that for a long time. But then there's a very fine balance between that habit and the addiction. How do you recognize? Is there something to recognize that it has actually gone too far, and I can't really control it anymore?
Yeah, I think a couple of things to remember. If it's a constant thought, if you're constantly thinking about drinking, if you're constantly feeling awful about it, not feeling great about it, awful about it too, the same thing. But if you don't feel great about it after you've drank, and then you start quickly thinking about when would it be okay to have another drink for me to just feel better. So when we feel like, in order for me to get over this hangover, I'm just going to have a drink, right? Then we're getting into this kind of unhealthy loop. But also when we feel like it's just thinking about taking a break is unthinkable. I don't even know when I would do that. I have so many. I'm so busy. I have so many events that I'm going to do that I don't know possibly, because then we're just deferring it. We are struggling to find some space. And also if we feel like, we can feel slight body shakes, and I think if we feel like it's having an impact on us where it's starting to become a main, not character, but when alcohol becomes a main topic in our life, then whether it's in conversation or in thoughts, then maybe we should think about, having a proper conversations. We can't help people with severe addictions because we do coaching. But when we have someone, and we can notice it from this side, because that's someone that feels that they will share their drinking habits. They might drink early in the morning. They might wake up and feel like they need a drink to kind of just get over the anxiety or the shakes, for example. And that happens a lot more than you'd imagine. And the thing is, there's so much shame around alcohol. People who don't feel great about this, so they keep it to themselves, right? And we want to normalize it. We don't need to shame people who already feel so much shame. So we are all about personal empowerment. And if you feel like you're not coping, if you feel like you can't really handle life or social gatherings, you know, a lot of people drink for many different reasons. They might not be socially, socially confident. They could be introverts. A lot of people drink because they're introverts to fit in to all of these different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And if we feel like it's a constant where we need it to simply cope, then in any aspect or any situation, then, you know.
Is it also helpful to ask yourself this question is like, when is it that I want the alcohol? Is it when I'm alone, or is that, do I do this because I need to feel better at the end of the day, regardless of what's happening around me? Are these kind of questions?
Absolutely. When you're drinking not for pleasure, when it's no longer fun, when you're not doing it for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because essentially this is how it's portrayed from the outside, you know, to celebrate and have fun. But if you're sitting at home drinking or drinking to just cope and it's not fun anymore, or there's no pleasure around it, then that's definitely a time where, you know, I would...
Tell me about, we talked about, you mentioned it, 1 Year No Beer is a coaching company that was actually started by your husband, and you ran it as well.
Yeah.
Tell me how that started.
So, well, it started with my husband, Rory, who he wanted to understand himself a little bit better. And he took an anger management course, and he was told that, you know, caffeine and alcohol are the biggest perpetrators for anger. So he's like, right, he took a break. And I've been begging him for a long time to address it and his drinking a little bit. We became parents. And I mean, when you're a mom, you grow up, right?
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not. You're like, you're
not asked.
But I think the dads, they don't necessarily do that as quickly as us. Bless them.
Yes.
And so he just kept going. And I said, well, maybe, you know, I was like, just like address it. You know, we have kids now. Like, let's get serious. And so he kind of looked at that, and he decided to be alcohol free. So he went into an AA meeting.
Okay.
Locally, and AA has done wonderful things for, you know, years and years for people all over the world. But he went in and he's like, no, that's not for me. And he walked out and he researched and realized there wasn't anything else. Okay. It was AA, or 12-step programs or nothing. Yeah. And so he started thinking about what other options there. And his then business partner, they were in the same business, and they got together and they were just talking about, well, what could we do? And from then on, it kind of just grew into giving people a reason not to drink. And then it became these challenges. And, you know, Dry January was the only thing that existed at that point, you know, which is great. But they wanted something that extended past that, you know, bigger. So we wanted something that is available at all times throughout the year. And that's when we created the challenges, which then became the 28-day, 90-day, and 365-day challenge. We're widening our programs up so much more and we talk about other habits, you know, compulsive behaviors, because people are coming in. And once you remove the alcohol, that's like the surface issue. And then we realize there might be issues with gambling. There might be an excess of porn, right? Shopping, sugar being one. So it's kind of that layers. And so it's important that we don't remove one thing and then go all in on the next habit. It's about addressing, why am I reverting to this? What is it that I'm, you know, is there a discomfort in my body? Is there something I'm trying to outrun or deflect from? Why do I need the constant dopamine hits? Why can't I just be with myself, right? And, you know, within our coaching, you know, we just teach people to just really sit with themselves. And most people, they can't, you know. And as a coach, one of my favorite things, you know, the term is holding space. You just hold space and let them be there, and they can squirm. But
that's a difficult task, though.
It is a difficult task. But when you do that long enough, we could sit and hold space, and you watch something is going to come up that's wanting to come out, right? And you'd be like, I have no idea where that came from. And I see this in coaching all the time. I've got nothing to say today. Okay, cool. Let's, you know, just what's going on for you? And they sit there and just go quiet, and I go quiet. And before you know it, something pops up. We are so wise. We just don't give ourselves enough opportunity to feel what we need to feel and think what we want to think.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big believer, and that's how you also wrote a couple of those programs for. We're going to talk about it now. 1 year no beer. The challenges. Why are challenges effective?
Well, first of all, it gives people a reason to not drink. And so they can confidently say to someone asking them, why are you not drinking? They're like, oh, I'm on the alcohol-free challenge. I'm doing the OYMB 28-day or 90-day challenge, right? So they're like, okay, cool, good for you. And people know about us these days. So they're like, oh, cool, good for you. And they kind of lead them to it. But so it gives them an out. It gives them an opportunity to work on themselves. And why they are good is because we believe in support and community, right? Mm-hmm. And doing it, a lot of people do dry January, right? And they do it on their own. And it works. For some people, it doesn't work. But a lot of people just hide themselves at home. They don't socialize, so they don't experience their normal environment that they usually socialize in, or they kind of just pull away from it to kind of protect themselves. But what we do, we encourage people to do all the things that you do normally, mm-hmm. but when you're not drinking as well. So throughout our guided programs, I mean, we've got, the videos and tasks for them to do throughout these challenges, which is built on how to go through life alcohol-free. And that, in that sense, we don't want people to change anything. We want them to be social. We want them to come up with activities that doesn't revolve around alcohol. We encourage them to speak to maybe one safe person around them that they feel comfortable sharing this with, so they can kind of be their pal, so mm-hmm. to say. Mm-hmm. Because it becomes a very lonely spot when everyone is drinking and you're not, because you're usually the fish that's swimming upstream. Everyone else is going the other way, right?
Yeah.
And so and not everyone is super confident in saying, I'm not drinking. So we always encourage people to find what works for them, and whether that is stealth drinking, which is when you just go and order a drink that might look like an alcoholic drink. It could be a tonic.
I mean, I've done that. Because I rarely drink, but I had this year where I didn't drink at all. And you are constantly defending yourself.
Yeah.
It's why I just have one glass and how long. And I was like, and then I started sometimes I was just too tired to start explaining myself, which is really annoying, by the way, that you constantly have to explain yourself. That, you have, thankfully, more and more these non-alcoholic drinks that look like a drink. I love that movement with more and more non-alcoholic drinks, or even non-alcoholic wines that some of them I've tasted are not even bad.
No, and that's the point, because as humans, science has proven that neurobiologically we are hardwired for connection.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here, right? We want to connect. And if everyone around you is drinking, and not only that, but you're trying to do something that they're not, but then on top of that, you get pressure, from others, then there's only so much strength that, not everyone is super strong and can withstand this. It'll go like, okay, I'll just I'll just start tomorrow. They kind of cave in. And I mean, luckily now, there has been a slight change in movement. There's more alcohol-free options than ever. People think it's acceptable more and more, depending on where you are, with not drinking. But when you are saying that you're not drinking, even with the most confidence, you're going to find someone that doesn't like what you're saying, because that has nothing to do with you not drinking.
No, it has to do something with them.
It's triggering something inside of them, right? Yeah. But it's easier said than done. Like, we have years of practice with this, but the people are new to this, right? They don't really know. This is why we give all this information to them, just to the self-empowerment, the self-empowerment approach that we have with our challenges is that, you are doing this for you, no one else. And that comes out, what do you need in this moment? What do you need to do to get to the end point of your habit change journey, or any change you want to make in your life? We need to consistently check in what we want, because it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I don't care what other people think. They don't, I don't mind at all. But for some people, it can be a bit more hurtful. I remember when I started doing this, all of a sudden, I would start seeing these pictures pop up on social media at events where I wasn't invited. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not invited to events anymore because I don't drink.
That's interesting, yeah.
And I remember, it really hurt then. Now I couldn't care less. But that was like right in the beginning of my journey. Like events where I would always be a person, and I hadn't heard about it. And so I started going, okay, so now there's something. Now, because the thing is, when we change our relationship with alcohol, we have to be ready for some big changes to happen around us that has nothing to do with us. And that is, we might realize that we have relationships or friendships that is solely based on around drinking.
Around drinking.
Yeah.
Many, I guess.
And
Unfortunately.
so, this is also a reason why we know from speaking to a lot of people is that a lot of people have pushed their journey, their alcohol-free journey in front of them and not dared stepping into it because they're worried what will happen with their relationship. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's relationship. Friendships are a little bit easier to be like, well, if it's not a real friend, it's not a real friend. It still hurts. But relationships, people kind of worry that what will happen to my marriage? What will happen to my relationship if I stop drinking? Because so much of our life has been based around drinking.
We might not have so much to talk to each other or something like that.
Yeah, so just doubling back on your question, why are challenges good? Because challenge has a time format. So our challenges are 28 days or 90 days, right?
Okay.
Or a year.
Okay.
And it gives people that that goalpost of focusing on something. Like, I can do this. And then they extend to the 90 days and then they keep going. And the thing is, why challenges are good to do is when we start feeling that air under our feet, we feel a little bit lighter, we feel a bit more confident, we're not riddled with anxiety anymore, we start opening up in areas that we felt limited before, then we want more. It's very more-ish. Just like alcohol is more-ish. People drink, they just drink. Why do they drink themselves stupid? It's because it just feels it's so much fun. I never want this to stop. And then it's like all of a sudden it's not fun anymore. But same thing is with when you start feeling good, it also becomes more-ish. So this is why the challenges work, because they just extend and then go, well, this is a no-brainer. Like, I want to continue doing more. Now I want to go to the gym, right? Now I want to eat well. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of that knock-on effect, right? So when we have a goal of I'm working towards this 28 days, 90 days, or a year, whatever, then we can break it down in bite size, which we do within our programs where, hey, now focus on this, what comes up. And we always encourage people to book a challenge, whether that is walking up a mountain, or going for a run, booking a park run, or booking a Spartan, booking a High Rocks, whatever it is that interests them further on in their journey. So they have something to work towards, right? But the important thing is, and what we encourage within our programs is that it's not always going to go well. Mm-hmm. Some people go in, they are alcohol-free for 28 days, 90 days, a year, and they're crushing it. Good for them. Yeah. But that's not always the story. The story is that, hey, we're going to have a bumpy ride some days, and we need to embrace that because we are humans, right? And regardless of how intentional we are with our day, someone else might come around and have an impact of your day. And it's just remembering that we're not supposed to be perfect. Yeah. We are all flawed.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, they have a blip. We call it a blip or a slip up. And it's going to happen. But that's not failure. That's data.
Okay.
That's data for like, what is the learning here, right?
Yeah, and why perhaps also.
Exactly.
What was the reason?
Exactly, because the learning, this happened because of this. Okay, now I know for next time. Mm-hmm. So this is why that self-empowering approach that we have is, it's a lot more successful than that shaming of like, well, now you failed, now you're terrible. You go back
in your
day
corner.
One and on. People count days because they like to feel like achievement.
Yeah.
But we also tell them to be loose with your day counting because it doesn't matter. You can still, have a slip up and continue your days. Like you can say that you've been alcohol free for X amount of days with a slip up, And for the slip up, we say, what did you learn? What is the learning from that? Because I have that approach with myself, for my kids, with my clients, everyone. And that is that, there was something for me to learn here. Like, it's not that straightforward because we're all work in progress. I always say that we go however we mean to go out in this world, but when we pass away, we're all going to have this invisible WIP written on our forehead, and that says work in progress.
What do you think is it better to go all out, like complete cold turkey, no alcohol at all, or I don't know, a drink on the weekend or something?
Yeah, I mean, this is a question that we get a lot for people. They want to know, when is it okay for me to drink and how can I start moderating? And we have alcohol-free challenges. We have alcohol-free challenge with community. And then we have like an 8-week intensive program, which is, a transformative. It's got very deep one-to-one coaching. We have group coaching. There's a community, but also has this tailored program that really knocks the habits on its head. So when they go through this 8-week program, very quickly quickly. Most people are alcohol-free by week 3 or 4, completely done. They're like, I don't even want to think about it right now. And it's incredible how quick that can happen. But every once in a while they go, when do you think I'm ready to,
Drink again?
to have a drink? Like, because they want to moderate. Most people want to moderate, have a take it or leave it approach. I always go, what's the rush? And they go, well, it's no rush. I just want to know. And the thing is, it works differently for each individual. But if you want to change your relationship with alcohol, it is better to go completely abstinent in the beginning, not forever. And the important thing is not to worry about forever. Just worry about right now, because we will know ourselves when we are ready to have a drink.
Yeah.
And if we go in thinking that we can moderate, a lot of people try that and their journey is not as successful because it won't go as they think it's going to go. And we revert back to our old habits. We can be as intentional as we want. We can have the willpower and the motivation, but then life happens.
Yeah.
And what do we do then? We react the same way we reacted before. We'll revert back to something else, right? And same thing with our pattern. Even if we think we're going to moderate at the weekend, some people can do it, but most people can't. They'll just revert back to their old habits. And what happens is most of the time they shame themselves. They feel like they've failed, right?
Yeah.
I always say, what did you learn? Well, I wasn't ready to moderate. I wasn't ready. Okay, good. So what do you want to do now? I'm not telling them what to do. I mean, who am I? They're adults.
Yeah.
I'm a coach. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I always encourage to look at the learning and, how they see themselves moving forward from then on. So the moderation journey is a lot more zigzaggy, and you don't really get the opportunity to feel the benefits. This is the problem.
I didn't drink for a year. That had health reasons, so I took that an opportunity. But then what I also, I had my first drink after that year, and you go like, oof. It is as if your body's really telling you, oh, this is not good. And ever since then, I think it's also, probably one good thing about these weird age that I am in, and probably you are similar there in this perimenopause, menopause. I also don't tolerate alcohol anymore. Mm-hmm. There's something really weird that happens. So I barely drink. But it helped because the body was so long out of it, so that after a while, going back to something, it really tells you, ugh. This is your body tells you, please, this is not good for you.
It's not for me, right?
Yeah.
So when you did that full year, you mentioned it being for health. So it was almost like, I have to do this, right?
Yeah.
So it became like a no-brainer for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So imagine if we just see our life like we live a very short time on this planet.
Yeah.
We like to think that we are so full of time. We really aren't. We never know what's going to happen with our life, right? So if we start appreciating our timeline a little bit more and go, how much time am I willing to compromise? Because we're compromising our life, our health. We're handing it over to a substance, and we're saying tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to feel better tomorrow. I'm going to work on myself. And how much time are we going to spend giving away our power? Because that's what we do. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so people will always be defensive around this, and that's fine. But I always say, like, when is a good time for you to start living life? Because this is what happened. Well, it's fun, drinking, and great. Okay, good. But if there are any downside, if you can find any positives with drinking, knock yourself out. I challenge people all the time. They go, well, it's fun. Okay, but if it's fun, then it's also not going to be fun. So let's talk about that. Like, yeah, right. Then I don't feel great the day after. Also, great. But it makes you feel social. Great. How do you feel about the day after? Then I feel very worried about what I said and stuff. I'm like, great. So for every positive, there's a negative. That's just how it works in the world, right? Yeah. So the question isn't like, oh, well, I'm going to do it next week or next, whenever I'm going to do it. But the question is like, when are you willing to just completely commit to yourself and just see how good you can feel? Yeah. Right. Without having to be told that you have to do this now.
We talked earlier about it being difficult in social environments and being asked these weird questions and not even being invited anymore. So what tips do you have for people who are having a tough time in the social setting? What can you do?
So I mentioned before that, so the stealth drinking, making sure that you've got yourself a alcohol-free drink in your hand. Most people won't care that what's in your hand. The fact that you have something in your hand is better, right?
That's right. That's my
And so if you just go in and get yourself a drink right away, and the thing is, what we recommend people saying, if people buying a round of drinks, you can just say, no, I'm okay. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. We can excuse ourselves, right? Until we exercise those alcohol-free muscles where we feel a little bit more confident, we can just fake it till you make it. In this sense. But you could also go as far as calling, if you're going to go for a dinner or a celebratory drink for someone's birthday or get together at the pub or a restaurant or a bar, you can go as far as calling ahead and asking what they've got, what options they've got alcohol-free. And these days, people are pretty good in restaurants with alcohol-free menus. So preparing ourselves a little bit more. I would also recommend that you speak to someone, whoever someone's going to be at the event, one of your friends, and tell them what you're doing. Someone that you feel safe with, because you don't want it weaponized against you. Someone that's going to make fun of you, like, oh, she or he is not drinking, and oh. But for someone that you feel like you can confide in, and most people have someone like that. Mm-hmm. Most people are actually supportive.
Yeah.
The insecurity lies with ourselves. Because we might not know who we are without drinking. In this environment, I've always drank. Who am I here? So once we get past that hurdle and realize that people actually don't care, there might always be that one person.
That tells you you're boring.
That one person that thinks you're boring, or when are you going to be fun again? Yeah. Or when are you going to stop this silly thing? And I hear this all the time. People go to their parents' house or their friends' house. They serve them a glass. I'm not drinking. Oh, it's just one. Come on now. And it's a bit like someone saying that they're vegetarian and serving them a steak, saying, "Well, it's just one steak. Come on." I mean, it's
yes, like that's so true.
Right? Why? Yeah. So mentally preparing yourself that not everyone is going to be supportive, but most people would be. And if you can just talk to yourself about your whys. Why are you doing this? It's for my health. It's for my kids. It's for my relationship. It's for, I want to feel more creative at work. I want to do better at work. I want to get out of this plateau. A lot of people feel like they plateau in life and they just want to get over the hump. Once we start looking at all of those whys and what the potential outcome is of doing the alcohol-free ride, how amazing that's going to be, like the future pacing, looking at your future self, then the why we're doing it becomes so much stronger than the question as to why you're not drinking, because you're going to be like, I'm doing it for all these reasons. And once we say things with conviction, like I'm not drinking because I want to get fit, I want to be a better parent, no one's going to challenge that. People in fact go, that's really good for you. I'm probably going to do something like the same. They inspire you. You inspire them.
Let's talk about the culture of drinking, because I lived in various countries. I'm half Swedish, half German. You're Swedish. You lived in the UK for most of your life. And it's like, I can see there's a different culture in different countries in drinking. Do you see that? And do you see any changes in that?
I mean, absolutely. The differences in cultures. I mean, you being Swedish, me being Swedish, we can talk for the Swedish drinking culture, which is not so much weekly drinkers, but they go to town at the weekend.
Absolutely.
The binge drinking is extraordinary. And it's the förfest, the efterfest, which is the pre-party, the after-party, right? Because drinking is expensive in Sweden. So they meet at someone's house and then they drink themselves stupid. Then they go out and then they go back to someone's house and they drink more. It's unbelievable. But they don't drink during the week, right? And that's just how it's been. Whereas in the UK, they have the pub culture, so it's everywhere, all times.
Drink every day.
Yeah. But then I lived in Italy also for many years. And and Spain, and they kind of just sip a little bit throughout the week, not too much, maybe a little bit more at the weekend.
A little bit of wine to the food. It is more together with food than this completely going into oblivion.
Yeah, you rarely do you see them drinking wine, not eating. It's mostly with food. So it's like that tradition. So, and I mean, having been in Germany for work also in my younger years, I observed the same thing. They had the beer gardens, which are beautiful. I love the one in Munich.
Yes, there are many beautiful beer gardens.
And so, which is a nice little tradition. But tell me, what have you seen growing up in Germany? What's the tradition?
I think it's been very accepted, but I'd say it is also less the hard alcohols. Yeah. We're very focused on beer naturally, and on probably wine these days. But the heaviness of the alcohol is less. That I see more in Sweden, where we really go out on the hard spirits. I've seen that in America too. It's the hard alcohols.
Oh yeah, the bourbons, the dark liquors over there.
Yeah, the whiskeys and the martinis, and and 3 straight martinis before dinner. It's like, whoa, for me that is a lot of alcohol. Here I see, when I'm in the UK, you see the pub culture. So for me, it's quite interesting, because you also start realizing how much is drunk when you're not drinking yourself very much. What does it actually take, and how long will it take to shift this generations raised on alcohol?
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, such a good question. But if we were to revert back to, when we started this particular movement 10 years ago, with the regular alcohol-free challenges available, all times of year, most people didn't want to hear that. They're like, that's stupid. That's only in January. Why are you doing this now, right? But people who found their way to us, they wanted to do it, but they found it very hard and not being accepted in their environment. 10 years later to today, it's actually acceptable to say that you're not drinking.
Yeah.
Because you're focusing on your health. Good for you. Because these days it's hard to listen to a podcast that doesn't, or open social media that doesn't talk about the damages of alcohol. And so it's more acceptable, but not everywhere, right? And we are still talking to people who still are in a pretty bad place with their drinking habits because of pandemic. It kicked off during the pandemic because there was nothing else to do, and it was they were dropping off alcohol at your house. All of a sudden, now you can message. You have Uber Eats, Deliveroo. You have all these different apps. You have all these different apps that you can order food and alcohol and tobacco deliver at your door, right? It's so accessible. You don't have to leave your house anymore, right? Yeah. And with a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, people are afraid. There's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah. We want uncertainty because we want variety in our life, but we want to live mostly in certainty. Yeah. Right? And there's a lot of uncertainty right now. So what do? We escape. We revert to what we know best, right? And we socialize. We let's connect more. And I don't feel great. Let's feel a bit of fun. Let's get a little bit silly. And for many people who drink, that's what it is. They just want to just not think about work, not think about kids, not think about the seriousness of life or the real situation. And they just want to get a little bit loose and just be a little bit silly. So it can start with a really harmless reason to do it, right? And if we're able to keep it at that, that's great. But if it's causing more harm than giving you joy, then
what does someone do who says, okay, I understand that this is harming me, but I still lack that tool for that feeling a little silly for some hours, a little coming off the everyday problems that I'm facing. It's like, what tools are you giving them in order to compensate?
We talk a lot about regulation, regulating our nervous system, because a lot of time that's where overwhelm, anxiety, all of these emotion that cramps us and just makes us shut down. It comes from just a place of not being able to regulate. And the dysregulation is not a problem in the sense of it's natural. Our fight or flight has kept us safe, since we were living in caves with saber-tooth tigers outside. But when we're looking at, it's not very useful right now, but it is some moments, we want to be able to react. And the thing with human beings is that we can stay we become dysregulated. We stay in that activated state. We have a lot of stuff in our system with us from the past, and because we have a lot of memories and stories and potential outcomes and what's happened in the past that plays into us getting dysregulated, we can very easily stay in that dysregulation and freak out. We overwhelm ourselves so much we don't know what to do with this. And a lot of times it's picking up the phone. Oh, God.
Yeah. Or the glass of alcohol. But what do I do instead?
Work on regulation.
Okay, how do I do that?
So recognize what's going on. And then Dr. Tara Brach, she has this tool that she calls RAIN: recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. And I love that one, and I pass that on to clients a lot. And that means, recognize what's going on for you right now. Just allow it to be there. No judgment, no nothing. And then investigate where could it be coming from? What's going on? And then nurturing it is giving ourselves what we need right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like, it sounds like a lot of work. It's not really. Once you learn to do it, it's what do I need right now? And the one thing we tell people to do is breathe. Something we take for granted. First thing we do when we're born, last thing we do before we die. And once we realize that our breath is a superpower and we can control our whole nervous system and our whole being by breathing, just taking a deep breath through your nose, holding it in, exhaling. And they have this, they have box breathing within the Navy SEALs. Breathing is a tool everywhere. Breath work is such a big thing, but it's about learning to regulate ourselves. So going out we say to go out for a walk, just walk around the block or just walk around the office, whatever you can do in that moment, and breathe. Just take a couple of deep breaths, preferably through the nose, because it really invigorates our whole system, and breathing out through the mouth. And I always say maybe focus on exhaling what's bothering you or what you're feeling, and doing that deeply a couple of times. No one's ever done deep five deep breaths and not said that it's had a positive impact. So if we can learn to regulate ourselves, we're going to find that we're going to be able to go, okay, I feel better. So instead of having a drink, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. Instead of reverting back to old habit of drinking, I'm going to maybe just go for a walk or, do something. Enter anything that is interesting to you that you could do. But if we don't get ourselves out of a dysregulation, it's very hard to see anything else than just revert something that is so familiar, which is drinking.
Do you think that with all this new knowledge around alcohol, some policy changes are also necessary at some point?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it started with not being, you're not seeing alcohol ads. You see alcohol-free beer on ads and stuff. Things are changing, but it's a little bit like when they stopped with the smoking. You weren't allowed to do advertising for smoking. Next thing you know, you're not allowed to smoke inside. It had a massive impact on people stopping smoking, but now they're vaping everywhere instead. So they found a loophole to get back in again. So what's going to have to happen with alcohol is that there has to be stronger rules around it. I think there are. I think alcohol and industry has been protected by the alcohol industry itself, probably fueling the fire with these fake studies around how alcohol is good for you and all those things. I mean, that just needs to go. That's not okay.
I mean, in Sweden, and that originally came also from too many drinking problems within the country. They have Systembolag, which is a specialized store that you have to go to buy alcohol. Plus, it's extremely expensive to make it more difficult.
Exactly.
It's just creating another threshold, another step to making it harder to buy.
I mean, they've been reducing the drinking limit, the alcohol limit for drinking. I mean, everything has been shrinking, so they're doing the right things that are right in the right direction, but it's still so readily available everywhere.
Yeah,
and I think, like you said, Systembolaget in Sweden. It's brilliant, but people will always find a way around that too, right? People will always find a way. So the question is, what else could we do? How can we talk about it more, especially in educating our younger people? I think that's the most important thing is, it's great for us to be an example, but also for them to have the full, information of this is what it's like, whether that is,
Which we didn't have, right? No one told us anything how bad alcohol is when we grew up.
No idea.
No.
So I think they're getting better at that at schools. I think I hear they mention it a little bit, but only from a certain age in their puberty. I think they kind of start talking about when this kind of becomes interesting. I'm like, well, if you just get a better understand, they see it from a young age. Why is it so hush-hush until they're like teenagers to talk about it? Because that's usually when they get influenced by other kids, right? So let's talk about. My kids are younger. They've always known what we do with, with our business. And so they know the impact. I mean, they're going to go and make their decisions in their life, but at least they have all the information, right?
Exactly.
And I think the information to more people at a younger stage is so important. But still, it's going to come down to the regulations at the end of the day.
Do you drink at all?
Not really. I could at a celebratory birthday or, wedding or something, I could have a glass of bubbly or at a dinner with someone if If I feel like it, I just mostly don't, because just like you've shared, it's like I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Because when you have had, I changed my relationship with alcohol back in 2017, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a healthy relationship before that, for sure, and I know why, and I did the work, right?
Yeah.
But coming to the space where I am right now, I could have a drink. I just choose to mostly not to, because I don't see the point. But it doesn't have an attachment there for me. Like it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I could take it or leave it. Genuinely, I mostly choose to not to, because I don't see a point. And if I have a drink, it will be months before I have a drink later, because I'm like, oh, that was fun.
Okay.
Not bothered. And that's just most people who come into our programs, this is what they want. They're like, well, they think we're unicorns, because it has been said for so many years that you can't do this. Different approach. It's teetotal or nothing, right? And that's fine. If that works for some people, it's fine. But most people don't want that. Most people want to be able to take or leave it. But take it or leave it will only come if you do the work. Understanding what drives the drinking. What is it that we're replacing it with? What triggers us? And what is there some work to be done? And that is mostly the scary stuff with people, is that, oh, well,
that's why you use the alcohol.
Exactly.
You don't want to go there.
Because if we don't drink, then we think. And if we think, we might feel. And we might have been trying to outrun feelings and thoughts for a long time, right? So it's about having the courage of just seeing what might happen. I'm just going to see what happens, and doing the work and facing some feelings and thoughts that, are uncomfortable, and being okay and knowing that, hey, we are resilient. We just need to remember that without reverting back to old habits, and go, hey, I always say, just aren't you curious to how good you could feel? Like, no matter how successful or how, whether it's in life in general, in sports, but I'm like, aren't you curious about the edge? Like, what would happen if you just removed it? Like, you've spent all these years drinking, right? What's a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year going to do? If you stop drinking and start seeing the impact of it's having on you, and if it's so boring, if it's so awful, then you can always revert back to what you were doing before. But
that's what always helped me too. I was like, not only with alcohol, I mean with other things too. It was like, what's the harm? I was like, give it a try for a month or two. When you see the end game with the end point, and you say, okay, why can I not do this and just see, what is 2 months? Well, I can do this.
Yeah.
And if it's really, and most likely with substances like this, you will probably understand how much better you feel.
Exactly.
But
and
it's
quickly.
Just giving yourself that space to try it out as an experiment versus, I have to do this. This is, and if I can't do it, then I'm a failure and it's never going to work. Just try it, and then even, I guess, give yourself the permission, if it's really so absolutely awful and horrendous for your life, you can also revert back to it if you really want to.
We always encourage people, like, it's right now. Don't focus about, I can't quit forever. I can't esteem myself never having a drink again. But we're not talking about never, because that's way over there. Right now, we're looking at this, you here. Like, what can you do better today? And it's always like, how about we do 1% better today? Like, where are you going to be in 3 months' time if you improve by 1% every day? No rushing. And then if we look at getting that 1%, or if you want more than 1%, do 2% every day. But if you just do that little nudge every day, where will you be in a couple of months' time? Like, that is the exciting,
just give it a try.
The potential that you have.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how long you've been drinking, how much you've been drinking, or that doesn't play in at all. What plays in is, what do you want? Like, why are we talking today? Why are you booking in? Why have you booked in on this right now? Because there's a part of you that wants something. And this is why, when we learn to sit with ourselves a little bit, and that discomfort and the quietness, we all have this internal compass that gently pulls, even the chaos that goes on around us, we have this internal compass that wants to pull us somewhere. We might not be listening. So if we give ourselves that space and go, well, what do I want? And people have a tough time asking themselves these days, well, I want to feel better. Okay, let's start with that. But how can you take one little step towards feeling better? Yeah. Okay, day one. Okay, great, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it, I asked that all my guests, is there some ritual you do every day to make your day better? Something you manage?
Meditation.
Meditation.
Yes. And meditation doesn't have to be sitting, hovering a foot off the floor, being an expert. Like, people try meditation and go, I tried it once, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
My meditation is for everyone. It's sitting through the chaos and the naysaying in your mind that says, I don't want to be here, I'm too busy. And just being with yourself is where you learn and grow exponentially. And I practice gratitude. Just gratefulness is the opposite of anger and all of those negative emotion. It comes from, we're all love, but there's a lot of fear in our lives. And, and people have a lot of fear in their lives. So our brain has a negativity bias. So we'll cling on to that. So the more we can practice, love and compassion and gratitude just towards ourselves. And then, we just be grateful for just the health that we have, that we're able to be here and be mindful and set intentions and able to make change, like create change. We're all capable of that. Even when we're in a spiral of feeling like this is, I can't change. You can, but
absolutely,
we have to
everyone
want
can.
to.
You just have to start. Well, thank you so much, Jen. This was a fantastic conversation. I mean, I think it's really, attractive. You really made it sound doable. To start something like that and give yourself that chance and see where you are in a month or 3 if you want to cut down or quit alcohol for that time. So thank you for all that important work, and thank you for coming here today. What I really took away from my conversation with Jen was that giving up alcohol for a month or for whatever time you choose is not something that is completely impossible. It's something that you can label as an experiment and just see where it takes you. Don't set unrealistic goals. Just give it a try. Give it a try and see where it takes you. Because if you'll never try, you'll also never know what it will do to you and how positively your life can be changed. Big thank you to Jen Fairbairns from 1 Year No Beer. We have some amazing conversations coming up on the rest of this series and plenty more already sitting in the archive ready for you to listen. Make sure you hit follow on whatever platform you're listening on to get new episodes delivered straight to your device every Tuesday.